were dating a young lady in college before we drafted you, or thinking about drafting you. She's pregnant. But you go your first year, you leave her at Michigan State, you go your first year, and you meet someone else, and you kind of fall in love. Well, who are you going to stay with? The one you just met? Or are you going to stay with the one you just had a child with?
Jay,
Okay,
they asked you this question?
Yes, they did.
Wow.
So Larry Bird we're walking out to, how all the players shake hands before the game. He says, "Where's Marcus Dwyer?" I said, "Oh, he got a little sick." He started cursing. That him, that, you know what? He's scared of me. I said, "Nobody's scared of you, Bird." He said, "I'm going to put 50 on you guys tonight."
What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Sports Card Madness. We have an awesome guest today, Jay Vincent. He's a 9-year NBA veteran, NBA All-Rookie, NCAA National Champion with Michigan State and All-American. Played with Magic on that championship team, so tons of accolades. Jay, welcome to the pod. Did I miss anything?
No, you're doing fine.
All right.
Everything's really good.
Yeah, there is probably more though, Jay. I think you're being a little humble. Like we're gonna get into it, but you're an author, you have a book, you have a comic book, you're doing a lot. So we're happy to have you on. Yeah, great.
No, I was one of these guys that when I was at Michigan State long time ago, back in 1977, I told myself that once I retired, if I was able to make it to the NBA, I wanted to be one of those guys who could do something else other than play basketball. And if you, one of the things I like to talk about, my big program is called Safe Stop. It's a booklet that I have out. The website is policesafestop.com. If you went there, you'll see all my sponsors. It's a booklet that I have out that we give out for free, trying to show individuals how to have safe encounters with police when pulled over. And so it's a national program that I'm really getting out there. I got a lot of police departments involved with it. So it's a situation that, especially with minorities, I see sometimes, and even myself, you get kind of tensed up when the police starts to pull you over. But I try to let people know, live to see another day compared to trying to fight, run, whatever they're trying to do out there against police, because we do need police. So it's a booklet that's really taken off. So I just wanted to mention that as well.
Well, that's great. That's a great legacy for you. Not only all your other accolades we already talked about, but Nick and I will make sure that we add that information into our show notes.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's great. I'd like to get into your playing career if we could, and then we can come back to the book and the comic book because I want to get there as well. Nick, when he opened, he mentioned, 9-year veteran and NBA All-Rookie team, and I'm just curious, when you came into the NBA, you obviously had a good rookie season, right? All rookie team. How long did it take for you to realize that, I can actually play in this league? Was it a couple weeks, first practice? I'm just curious.
Well, it's a great question because at Michigan State, I was a two-time Big Ten leading scorer my junior and senior year. Grew up with Magic since I was 9 years old. So Magic was always flashy. I was always one of these guys. I really wasn't a good player until I reached 10th grade in the high school. Magic was pretty good in ninth grade. We beat them for the ninth grade championship. He was playing for Dwight Rich. I was playing for Walter French. I was a shot blocker. I wasn't a scorer. Then in 10th grade, I became a scorer. I really thought I could play in this league, even though, of course, you always have a lot of your doubters. I was supposed to be picked in the first round. I was picked the first pick in the second round, number 24. But I kind of messed up an interview I was out to the Phoenix Suns, and I'll tell you what a couple of the questions, because it's very interesting. And I'll see if you guys are hint or can answer this. But what happened was I was asked, where do you play your best basketball? Do you play it at home, your best basketball, or do you play it away, your best basketball? What are you and Nick's answers to that?
I would say that I'm thinking of it, putting myself in the shoes of like I'm getting interviewed for it, right? I would say I play my best basketball on my high school home court during practice. because practice is important. That's when you put in the most effort. It prepares you for the games. I think that actually is true. I don't really think I'm BSing there. I think, yeah, maybe that is it. That's probably where I'd go with that question. What about you, Nick?
Yeah, I feel like you always want to default to home because that's where you actually do play better. You're comfortable, you know the hoop, you know the court, you know how the light hits that, and you can, Um, but I don't know where they were going with that question. I'm kind of
Yeah.
curious.
What did you say,
Yeah.
Jay?
Yeah, curious. You're Nick. You're both of you are very say what's around this question, especially you, Nick, when you said that. My answer was I play best away because I said that at home you have a lot of your fans and your family, and on the road you got it's just you, your teammates, your coaches, and you're just ready to kill them. You want to know which ones were the correct answer?
Yeah, of course.
Neither.
Yeah, well,
It was
neither.
a trick question. I
Oh,
was supposed to say I play my best away and at home.
and
Ah,
So I
man.
messed that question. I mean, that trick
uh,
question. Believe me, I've asked women this question, and they both have said, I play my best home and away.
mhm.
Most of the guys like us who play basketball will say one or the other. So that
Interesting.
question messed me up. One more
Wow.
question. So it was a trick question. And, how you can imagine how many questions are coming at you
Hmm.
quickly. And I have a book called NBA Secrets out as well. And it's in back of my United States versus Jay Vincent book. And then I got a individual one as well, but just NBA Secrets. And it has these questions in there. I just want to do one more, then we'll pass go on.
Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
The next
this is
question is they
great.
asked me, you got you were dating a young lady in college before we drafted you or thinking about drafting you. She's pregnant.
Mhm.
But you go your first year, you leave her at Michigan State, you go your first year, and you meet someone else, and you kind of fall in love. Well, who are you going to stay with? The one you just met? Or are you going to stay with the one you just had a child with?
Jay,
Okay, I want to
They asked you they
I'm gonna
asked you
learn
this question?
Yes, they did.
Wow.
I'm gonna
Okay.
learn my lesson from the first one, and I'm gonna say I'm gonna stay with both of them.
Hmm.
I'm gonna have a relationship with both of them, Jay.
Yes. And I'm going with that too.
You guys are you gotta get they're gonna get rid of you. Well, the answer is they said no. If you went on and met somebody new, that even though you did and was in love with your the young lady that you were with in college, that you would probably move on. I said I would stay with my child um, mother.
Mm,
That was the wrong answer because I was
mm,
trying to be diplomatically correct
sure.
by saying like, "Hey, I'm not going to just be a father who will leave their child." But that wasn't the answer. They wanted to say like, "No, that's not what you really would do. If you went and met someone here that was new, you're going to forget all about that person. You may pay child support. You may send money to your former girlfriend, but we think you would go on with the other person, which most people do.
Hmm.
But when you're answering these questions, you're trying to think what they think you should say. And sometimes, and by the way, when I got into a argument with my coach my first year, I was going, 25, 30 a game, 40 a game. And I got into an argument with Coach Dick Mata on the floor. You know what he told me?
Mm.
He said, you know, you need to be a little bit better anyway, because that's why you were picked in the 24th pick of the first round, because you messed up your interview.
Oh,
So
Wow.
that means other coaches went around to other
yeah.
coaches, to other organizations, and we know
Hmm.
they all talk, and they was talking about some of the questions I messed up. But those are trick questions. But anyway, I just had to put you both guys on the line to show you what it is to be a pro when they ask you these questions and you have seconds to come up with a quick answer that you think it may not be what you really would do, but because you're trying to answer something that you know would be positive in their eyes.
Hmm.
And as you can see, I gave both I thought was good answers, but they both were wrong.
Well, Jay, you made me nervous asking me those
Yeah,
questions. I
and
can only imagine if
we're just
you're
hanging out. We don't
interviewing
have this
interviewing
situation
for some
either.
NBA teams.
Well, see,
Oh man.
when he asked me about coming on the Zoom, I said I'm gonna bring it all to the table. So even
Oh
though
man,
I
this
said
is
I had to
awesome.
bring up some of the things that some of your audience may like would never hear unless they had one of my books, NBA Secrets or
Yeah,
something like that. But at least they could just for that few seconds they can see a GM. Jerry Colangelo was the one who was doing the interview with me.
Okay.
yeah.
Senior, because remember the son took over at Phoenix doing some things, and those are questions that they're looking you in your eyes, and you're like, I got to answer this right, and you end up answering what you thought was I said it the right way, which ended up being the wrong question
That's
or
wild.
wrong answer.
So Jay, you obviously played during a really cool time in the NBA. You grew up with Magic. You won a college title with Magic. So you played with him, against him. You played against Larry Bird as well. You got any crazy stories about Larry Bird or Magic that maybe we don't know about or we haven't heard before? Or any cool trash talking or just something interesting like that?
Well, that's hey, yes, I have a couple, just two couple things that you
Okay.
know. Magic and I, we grew up when since we were ninth grade. I mean, 9 years old. Um, we brought the city together in Lansing, Michigan, because our high school game would sell out in 3 minutes. 5,000 people. We had to move our last game when we were seniors to Michigan State University. We sold out the Genesis
Wow.
Fieldhouse in 8 minutes. 9,875 people. Um, in my comic book, it mentions a lot of that. I even have some pictures from that game in the comic book. Um, but those is one of the good things. But one of the funny things I'll tell you when I went to play with the Lakers for 1 year, I'm in the back of the bus. Everybody's joking around, laughing, cutting on each other.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Magic cutting on everybody. I'm looking at Cooper talking about how dark he is. I said he looked like some burnt charcoal and stuff like this. Everybody's laughing. So so Magic said something to me, and I'm jumping back and ready to say on the mat. The whole bus said, no, 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 no. You can't say nothing against Magic. I'm like, well, wait a minute. I grew up with Magic since I was 9 years old. They said, we don't care about that. You can't say anything about Magic. From that day on, I realized that even though I grew up with this guy, he had created this whole new person of Magic, and they didn't let me say anything. But let me tell you something about Larry now. Larry is the ultimate trash talker.
Yes, let's get into it.
The
I hear
ultimate.
about this.
Larry Bird, one time, he hit a shot on me. He said, yeah, I remember you guys beating me in the tournament. You had a hurt foot. You don't have a hurt foot now. I'm going to put 40 on you right now. And I'm like, Larry, are you joking? He's like, watch and see. And he was hitting shots after shots. You know, I could score two. I would hit a few. He said, it doesn't matter. I'm coming back. He would hit his shots. I think they won that game. We didn't beat Boston too many times, but just a couple times. But his greatest trash talk was, we're about to play. I'm in Dallas. And here we're about to do a jump ball at half court when we were playing Boston. Our superstar, Mark Aguirre, who was the first pick of the draft in 1981, somehow became ill that game. So Larry Bird we're walking out to, you know how all the players shake hands before the game. He says, where's Mark Aguirre? I said, oh, he got a little sick. He started cursing, that, you know what? He's scared of me. I said, nobody's scared of you, Bird. He said, I'm going to put 50 on you guys tonight. Now, he didn't put 50 on us, but he did put 39 on us, and they won. And he talked about Mark Aguirre for the next 2 or 3 years for missing that game. And Mark Aguirre didn't miss any. If Mark Aguirre had a broken leg, he was going to go out there and play
He was showing up.
Because we all thought, and I think Mark did too, he wasn't really sick. He just had his nerves and didn't really want to play against Larry Bird. So I would say the biggest trash talkers in the history of the game has to be Larry Bird, has to be in the top 3. I would put, of course, Michael Jordan's in that top 3, and he would try to be up there. Charles Barkley is up there. And believe it or not, a quiet Kevin McHale.
Wow.
You know, Kevin McHale, I played against him when he was at Minnesota and at Michigan State. Never thought he would become what a player he became. But he's a trash talker as well. So I just wanted to at least tell those little kind of small short stories.
Yeah.
That is awesome. I mean, yeah, there was like a game where Larry, he said, "I'm just going to beat you with my left hand" or something crazy, and he like won that game. So I can imagine, not against you, but like he did some crazy stuff.
So
That's
I want to go back to your story real quick. So you have a theory that Mark actually was dodging that game? You really think he was? He was kind of not as ill as maybe he really was.
only thing I know is Boston Celtics is coming to play the Dallas Mavericks at our home court. They're in the East, we're in the West. You're only going to play them one time on our court, which we had sold out a month beforehand. And I can't say if he really wasn't sick, but you can't tell me he was sick for that one game
Right.
against Boston Celtics and Larry Bird. I think that if he wasn't, he was feeling a little bit, well, if Larry shows me up, it's not going to look too good. I have the inside of me that if I'm going to lose or go down, I'm going to go down swinging. And if you do put 50 on me, I'm going to try to put 30 on you. And Mark just didn't play that game. And, of course, we got beat, but Mark was our star. You know, I was getting almost 20 a game. Mark was getting 20 plus a game. We had a Rolando Black and then getting almost 20 a game. So we needed Mark Aguirre. And to answer your question, yeah, I think that was a little bit fishy.
Nah.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. That's wild. So, I mean, that era, you think about that, man, just the players you were with, just the names you're rattling off. It's just such an amazing time to play basketball. And you're on actually one of the most iconic basketball cards that exists, the good old red, white, and blue 1986 Fleer. It's just a beautiful basketball card. LZ and I love it. I actually have every one of them autographed by every player. I'm like a huge collector of that set. What was it like for you to like see yourself on a basketball card for the first time? Did you care at all? Or like, was it fun or like?
Nick, it was really, really fun. And it until it happens, you really don't know how you react. And it was something to be able to show your friends, show one of my kids, my two kids, when they were growing up. So yes, it was exciting. Anytime you have the NBA involved with anything and they have your name or a picture of you on something, it's just something to show people. I mean, now I'm in my later part of my life. I turned 65 in about a couple months. And I told myself, and I get disappointed when I see a lot of former guys gain a lot of weight. A lot of former guys have gained a lot of weight and have passed away because of gaining so much weight, only because they took it easy and didn't take it seriously after they left the NBA. And we both know not exercising, not eating right, it will show. And if you look back from Daryl Dawkins, who I was really cool with, to Chocolate Thunder, to Dennis Johnson, a lot of them have died because of health issues.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
I just think that, and I love what the NBA is doing now, that they have a lot of, for the retired players, a lot of screening for health. Making players or telling players that they should go see the doctor every year because, men in general, especially NBA guys, figure like, oh, I don't have to go see the doctor. I'm okay. I feel good. And then the next time you fall dead the next day. And we've seen it, Earl Cureton just died. A few other players have just died. And I look back and I'm like, wow, I've made it this good. And I run 2.5 to 3 miles a day.
Whoa.
I try to eat right to
That's
try
great.
to keep my right. Thanks. And I tell myself, can't live forever.
Mm-hmm.
But you just don't want to go out that you didn't give it your best. I mean, we all slack on something, but I just see that era back there. It was the best era. I mean, we played hard, tough-nosed basketball. I know Curry has Steph has kind of changed things by being so dynamic or electric and magical, shooting those three-point shots and stuff like that. So I think a lot of kids have grown up and they've kind of don't look for the post-up players as much as anymore, other than Embiid. And I love Jokic's game. I never knew he was becoming as spectacular as he has. And I mean, he could play that game of basketball, even though he doesn't look like it.
Yeah.
Boy, can he play that game of basketball. So I look back in the day, it was much tougher back in the day because it was fewer players and fewer teams. We only had about 20, 21 teams. And what do you have now? 30 teams.
Yeah, 30.
You see what I mean? So, and you have 15 players to a team. It was only 12. So it was much harder for players to make it compared to now. I'm happy for them because the money's out there. You know, the money has increased. I mean, who would have thought players going to be making $60 million a year? I think that is excessive. But in the realm of things, when we were making 800,000 or $1 million a year, and a lot of the other players before us was only making 50,000 a year, they're thinking the same thing with us. So it was a total different basketball game. I would love to see the All-Star game become a little bit more competitive. But other than that, I don't watch it as much. But when the playoffs hit, I'm watching my NBA basketball.
Nice.
Okay, Jay, who's going to win the championship? What's your pick?
Ooh, that's a good question. You know, I really, it would have been a great series with Boston and Denver last year. But the number one team in the East last year was Milwaukee. They just faded to who did they play? They lost to who did Milwaukee?
They lost in the first round.
They lost to Miami.
Yeah,
and they had Miami by 20 points that game, and they ended up losing to them. So my pick this year, I'm gonna pick Boston in the finals against. Wow, who's gonna come out the West?
Clippers, OKC, Denver.
I don't like OKC. I would love to see Boston and Denver. Yes. And then I say Boston has a little bit more talent now that they've improved their team. I would say Boston would beat them. I think Boston could play with Denver more than Denver could play. If you look at Denver, they're more of a two-man team. The guard, Murray, and then Jokic. Even though they got other players, I like Gordon. I like some of their other three-point shooters. But you look at Boston. Boston is a solid team. But it would be nice to see Boston versus Denver, and I would pick Boston.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Well, that's music to me and Nick's ears. Yeah. We're big Celtics fans. So.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't know that. So, okay.
Yeah. Season ticket holder. I just it's great. Take the kids there. Me and Nick go a lot. It's fantastic. Going back to the trading card question that Nick had. So this is a collectible show. We talk a lot about collectibles and trading cards on this show. There has been recently some drama about the way players are actually autographing cards. Specifically, you have these companies, Panini, that is sending all these stickers to the players. Maybe they're signing them, maybe they're not. Maybe they're having their brother do it, maybe they're having their mother do it, or their assistant. I did some research on you, and I found some actually Upper Deck cards that I think you signed maybe right on the card, or maybe someone mailed them in and you signed them that way. But I'm just curious, have you gone through that experience with these trading card companies where they have asked you to sign cards? Can you just tell us how the process went? Did you see anything that maybe made you feel uncomfortable? Because they're starting to dig up a lot of dirt around this process lately.
Well, I just signed about 1,000 cards for a gentleman who owns a company. I think he owns a company out in Texas or somewhere that I actually signed. I look on eBay, and you're always going to find somebody took a card and just signed it, and it's not your signature. But then I seen my card right next to it where I did sign this one, but I didn't sign that one. I'm like, the people should be able to tell the difference. But when people are buying stuff, they don't know. Yeah, I always sign my cards like I tell with Nick when I was communicating with you, Nick, through email. But a lot of people, if they're signing, I can't speak for what somebody else is doing. But if you look at autographs nowadays, I agree with you. There's so much money involved. People are just trying to get as many cards as they can coming to them, and either they're signing them, or like you said, it may be them or their brother signing them. But then they should be able to tell that they would lose that contract immediately. I sign all of mine because I have big companies that send them to me.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to lose that, even though it may not seem like it's a whole lot of money. But if someone's sending you 10 grand or 20 grand to sign, and it's going to take you 3 hours, well, you're watching TV, get them done in 3 hours.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? So, but I'm pretty sure that if guys aren't signing their name where you can almost see their name being signed, where it looks like their signature, because some guys just put like an X or a line and a barely the initial, then you can't tell who's signing. But I try to be fair, and I try to see, even, I look at Magic. Magic has a different the way he signs, and I could tell when he's signing the card. So it's a situation where it's electric and fun to get a little extra money. I take that little extra money that I get and I give away to somebody. Even like when I go to the casino, I even wrote a book called Blackjack King J, because I'm a pretty good casino blackjack player. And I help out with a lot of money that comes in from that. But when I tell people that if they're sending you cash to do the cards, you should at least sign them. I'm not in touch with the Mark Aguirres or the Rolando Blackmans or a lot of my former players like I used to be, so I can't really speak on what they do. But I can go on eBay and kind of see one signature doesn't look like another signature.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Yes.
All right. Let's get into your books, Jay, and your comics. But I wanted to talk about the comic book, but then you mentioned this NBA Secrets book as well. Let's talk about that a little bit without giving away your entire book, because I'm sure there's a lot of secrets in there because of the title. Can you tell us, can you kind of give us one juicy teaser for your book, some secret that maybe we aren't aware of?
Well, yes, I'll give you one. Kind of some are sad. A couple of suicides, Bill Robazine, and a couple other things about secrets about, people, if you lose your money, then you never know. Guy's smiling in his face, and next thing you know, he commits suicide or something like that. But nowadays, it's not as much of a secret. I was saying how other players are hitting on other players' wives, and you can see now, even in what happened in the Boston situation there, where you guys are at, the coach situation. So you see what I mean? Normally that would be a secret that came out. Well, that would have been in somebody's book. But one of the things that I would like to mention, it was a controversial thing. One of our owners was dating a black woman. This is 1981, 82, minority owner. And he was sitting in the front side of, or the front seat of the, during the games. And I put in there exactly what happened. He had committed suicide because he had been harassed about dating a black woman. And the secret was, it wasn't a secret, but it kind of was a secret. People was wondering what had happened. Was I had the Dallas Morning News was going to do a big, huge story on this. And the day before the story is going to come out, they called me and said, no, we're not doing anything. So, of course, somebody got into their ears. So I go on and tell a little bit about how it is on the road, how groupies are. You got to make sure that you keep yourself safe, because a lot of ladies back then, they would just like to come up to your room, not necessarily get into your room. They would like come up to your room door and tell them if you don't give them $5,000 or $10,000, they're gonna start screaming right now. Because you remember, sexual assault is even if you touch somebody wrong. And you definitely don't want that in the newspaper. So a lot of players would not let them in, but once the young lady come up to the floor and they start screaming, before they start having a lot of cameras in the hotels now, like they do now, that is your word against hers, and now her word is in the newspaper.
Oh, that's awful.
So I kind of mentioned that. I also mentioned a little bit about just being on the road with your friends. I mentioned about how some of the players on their team is waiting for you to say something incorrectly so they can go back and tell management. So it's a catchy name, NBA Secrets, and I've done quite well for that book. I didn't put all the secrets in there, of course, but I did put a heck of a lot of secrets in that book.
It's gonna be volume 2 then.
Yeah.
Start writing the next one.
So Jay, tell me.
One thing I said is, when I come up with an idea, just like with the comic books, the comic book, I was just on Facebook, and a guy had done a comic book lookalike of Terry Cummings. You all know who Terry Cummings
Of course,
is. He's
sure.
in the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
So I contacted him, and he was one of my biggest supporters, I found out, in Dallas, when I was there in Dallas. So I got with him, and we came up with a version of, I wanted a real life story of growing up with Magic, with 95% of the pictures are real. People, other than the first cover part, I think I sent that to you. Remember, Nick?
Yeah, it's awesome. I still got it.
Cover, and then I sent to him the inside cover. So a lot of people thought it was nothing but comic book pictures, or it's not real actual pictures, which I have some comic book looking like pictures in there, but 90% of the pictures in the story is a real life story. And that took off for me, got multiple sponsorships. And I never thought I would become an author, but when I put my mind to something, trying to make something come to life, especially when people start showing me that they really care about it, I kind of put a lot of effort into it. So that's what I did with my books.
All right, awesome.
Okay.
Wow, that's crazy. It's so interesting to hear from an actual player, just like the trash that Larry Bird was spitting out, and just like what it was like back then. It's really cool. So we got one final question for you. The Mount Rushmore. So Mount Rushmore's got 4 presidents on it, right? So what is your Mount Rushmore of greatest NBA players of all time?
Oh, great question. And before I go to answer that question, I really love when I came there with Denver, and we were top of our division, and we played the Celtics. We beat you guys there. And it's funny, I was with Doug Moe, and when my brother Sam Vincent checked in, he said, hey, Sam played point guard for you guys that year, 85. And he said, check your brother. I said, I'm a forward, but I'm going to go out there and check him. So I was out there checking my brother, Sam Vincent. I'm out here guarding. I'm a 6'8", 6'8.5" power forward, trying to check a point guard, but it was so hilarious. I was like, bring it to me, brother. You show me what you got. And it was just the most hilarious thing. I just wanted to bring that up since my brother.
Is that on YouTube? Is that clip? We need to dig that up.
I wish it is. If you could Google, it was the Denver Nuggets versus the Boston Celtics. Google, and we won the game. You put Denver Nuggets versus the Boston Celtics in 85.
85.
In 85 or 86, but I think it was 85. That was the year my brother got drafted there to you guys. And only thing I to put in there is the Denver Nuggets beat the Boston Celtics in 1985. Okay. Because we only come there one time a year, so it's either 85 or 86 up or right up. But to answer your question, who I got to go with? First of all, everybody asks me who would I pick between LeBron and Michael Jordan. I'm going to be honest with you. I love LeBron. I think LeBron's bigger, faster, stronger. And even though Michael is spectacular and do some of the things, I think people are remember or think about LeBron as he's with the Lakers. They forget that LeBron who was with Miami. They forget that LeBron while he was with Cleveland. That LeBron right there is what you compare the Jordan to. A lot of people see, LeBron can't jump as fast, high, or run as fast because he's at least about 30 or 40 pounds heavier now.
Oh yeah.
But if you looked at that Miami LeBron James, I would go with him. So, but anyway, even though I love playing against Jordan, and Jordan was hired my brother's head coach of the Bobcats, and stuff like that, or when he had bought the team and stuff like that, and him and my brother was first team All-American together. But so I would go LeBron James. I would go Michael Jordan. I would go Magic, because Magic for Magic to come down and trick people, and people know you're about to be tricked. When he was out there playing, it was just unreal. And one more person who I would put there, I would have to put on that? Who would I put on that? I would have to go with, believe it or not, I would have to go with Shaquille.
Wow.
Ooh,
I thought you were gonna
Shaq.
say Kareem. So yeah,
I
Shaq.
almost
Wow.
said Kareem, but Kareem had a nice hook and everything, but Shaq could dominate that.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, you could just push Kareem out if you really, really wanted to. Late in the game, give me Shaq.
Yeah.
A in shape Shaq would destroy anybody,
Including
Oh, yeah.
backboards.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Joe Kedge. I mean, do you remember Shaq when he was really in shape at Orlando
Oh,
compared to
Oh,
scary.
him
yes.
went to the Lakers? I mean, he was just unstoppable. Yes, he
Yeah.
put on
Mhm.
40 pounds. If Shaq had stayed in shape, he could have won the MVP 7, 8 years in a row.
I know.
Mhm.
I'll
So
never forget
that's
as a
Yep.
kid, he would just destroy the backboard. He broke like 4 backboards in like
exactly.
2 years.
Yeah.
Just
And he
incredible.
was athletic. I mean, he could run with Michael Jordan. He could run with LeBron and them. But with that right there, especially with Magic, I mean, you guys are young. You probably see a lot of clips on Magic, but Magic to come down and do what he's done, of course, with Jordan, and then you
So
got his
smooth.
Shaq. Shaq is just a better version of Wilt Chamberlain.
Mm.
You see what I mean? Wilt didn't have all the offensive moves like Shaq does, but they were both powerful. So, and Kareem, like I said, Kareem is a spectacular player, but I think he could be bullied when it came down to Shaq, and they never, something like that. So that would be mine. That would be
Okay.
my
Excellent.
player.
That's a great top 4. Love that.
Appreciate it.
So Jay, where can people reach out to you? Where can they get your comic book? How can they find you if they want to hit you up?
Yes, they can reach out to me right on my website, which is www.jvincentbooks31.com. So it's www.jayvincentbooks, the number 3, the number 1.com. And I have about 6 books right there. So it's jvincentbooks31.com. And all of my books are right there. They'll see NBA Secrets there. They'll see United States versus Jay Vincent there. They'll see the comic books there. They'll see all my books right there.
Excellent. Jay, thank you so much for your time. This has been an awesome episode. I think everybody's going to love it. So thanks again. Appreciate it.
No problem, Nick.
Thanks, Jay.
I know you're welcome to. I know I said I was going to only be on for 15 minutes. You guys made it so fun. I'm like, oh, I have to be on here a lot longer. Sorry,
we're glad we squeaked some more out of you.
Sorry I took up so much time, but it was really, really great to do. I really
no. Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
again,
you for
Jay.
the extra time.
Thank you. No problem.